I'm just going to ask a couple of questions and then get out of the way so that we can all start a conversation. So what a brilliant film, Vinny. Very inspiring and touching. My first question is, you are behind the camera, you're making the film, but you're also in the film. So can you talk about these two roles and how you walk through that?
Thank you very much, Professor Mohan. Actually, when I was trying to send this two-person back, and the idea was I won't be on film, right? But unfortunately, after 1.5 years work, my first producer, the first production team, confiscated all the videotapes. So I didn't have any choice.
Any reason?
All videotapes.
No, what?
He
Is there any
confiscated.
Yeah.
confiscated?
Yes.
Out of?
I mean, this wasn't a really good experience, but fortunately I was working with Canadian CEDA funding agency, and then because I had an agreement with them, so they tried to kill this. My working team, couple of my crew, they thought that this terrible story gonna get some brilliant reward or award. So they wanted to be directors. So problem was twofold. At the same time, my first producer, who became producer by force, he didn't want to see that this film will come out. So they dumped the film for 1 year. So that was not a really good time. And then I was organizing the first Human Rights Film Festival. Anyway, one of my friends, younger brother, who is a filmmaker, he graduated from film school. And when I shared this information with him, he said that, okay, you know what, we could work on it. We could finish this film. So you will see that there are two parts in the film. In the first part, I'm not in the scene. Although the film starts with the beginning, the storytelling that I'm saying that I was there in Maysot and I saw them. The storyline wasn't like that. So I had to work back and forth. When I could save some money, then I went back to Dhaka. I did some more shooting, and you will see there are a lot of lackings. No good editing, no sound quality. I just wanted to finish this. But then, along with this, I don't know who else, some of them sent me a death threat. So actually it was part of inspiration. Then I said, okay, I had a guerrilla team. I was a journalist and activist in my young age. So I was able to finish this film. So you can see there is no good quality of editing. We did audio recording in a small studio. I mean, it's not really a studio, it's much more like someone's singer's homestead area where he used this synthesizer. So we did this way. So that's why, I mean, I didn't want to be on film, but at the same time, I feel that, okay, if I couldn't finish this, and this is my story, this is my own story, actually what I found that these two vendors and me, three of us, we are from Bangladesh, and they have the same story. When I graduated from a good school in Southeast Asia, I went back, and I was supposed to work in development sector. I couldn't find a job. So I end up in the same school by getting an enrollment in PhD, and these two person, they want to earn a better bread, better living. So this is the same story. So that's why I didn't, and then you will see that in the last scene when I went along the road trying to find this small shop with fruit vendors. That day I was really sick. I mean, my vocal cords sound out of cold. It was really, so I couldn't even talk. You see that. disaster situations, but I had to finish this way. So, I mean, putting all my money, resources, I had a death threat, and my colleague betrayed. My friends' faces turned to foe, and my partner left me. So, anyway, I just try to bring this story down to the people. And now I'm coming back from one of the folk festival where there was thousands of people. So we just want to take this story. It's not a new story. I mean, here some of the workers from Bangladesh and Mosimbai, they know this is not. And then there were some severe part of the story when they beat them. I cut it off. There are some other section of the story there. They mentioned that they end up with the Mujahideen group. So I had a fight with my editor. He wanted to put it because it might be sexy. I said I don't want to do this because it would be assault to an ethnic group. So anyway. And then I didn't really wanted to send it to the festival what I had been through. Because it went to a couple of festivals, one in Europe, one in Asia. Both of them are best festival. But I didn't want it to do that because of this quality. But now we have a project, we call it Journey of Hope. So we put together one play and this film, 20 minutes version of Bangla film. It's much more better edited. So and we are taking a caravan around the country, only 1/3 of Bangladesh, so 12 districts. So that's it. For your information, nobody didn't like this work. Filmmakers community didn't like it because there are a lot of talking heads, and it's not well edited, not good music, and then others community like researcher, development people, they didn't like it also because the way they asked me, they were expecting that there will be a mechanism, really a good message. The way NGO films are being done is not like that. So nobody is happy about this work. Sorry.
Did the villagers like it?
Well, yes. You see, although this commentary is in English, I mean the voiceover in English, so whenever I take it down to any community, especially in Asia, the whole audience, public, rural villagers, they liked it. They didn't make any comment. Like, oh, no, this frame is not right, So, there is some perfection. You couldn't put song, music together, perfectly. They didn't ask any question. They just asked that. Yes, my experience at in last folk festival, I met a couple of dozens of young people. They said, we pay money to the brokers, how could we get that? That's it. Thank you.
So Rumi, actually, I'll build on that. My question was more in terms of your involvement in the story.
Right.
So it seems like they came to know about you,
Right,
and then they contacted you.
right,
So it was serendipitous.
right.
Yeah, is that right?
Right.
So would you talk about that in terms of the construction of the story and how this relates to your serendipitous involvement in the unfolding of the story as it sort of takes place?
What happened, my first producer, who was a really good friend of mine, and I think he's still my good friend, he requested me, see, there is some area in some province in Thailand, Mysore, where there is a child trafficking going on in the Muslim community. And it was true, there was no news in the newspaper back of course. So when we went there to do a survey and do some research, And from there we found that there is a mosque named Bangla Mosque. Actually that is the dumping ground of this human smuggler. They send this sick person because it's next to the Myanmar border. So, and we met these people. So when we met these Bangladeshi people and my friend who is running a good NGO in Bangladesh and in Thailand, they asked for a contact number and my friend gave my number instead of giving his number. He is the owner of NGO. Anyway, when he is his wife, I didn't mind it. But after coming back, I was getting like at least 2 phone calls in a week and at least 2 phone calls in a month. So everyone knows my number. I don't know, maybe especially in some places in Malaysia, people put my phone number, like immigration detention center or somewhere, somehow. So I was getting phone calls from them. And when I was trying to send them back, I was working with a really big agency, Canadian CEDA. And the project I was working on is the human rights project. So we know all the experts, like the Deputy Director of Human Rights Watch, Phil Robertson, is our friend. And he was our migration expert. So if we're going to lobby through him to IOM or all other agencies, it's going to work. But to my surprise, when I tried to take this information about this Muslim ethnic group, everybody kept quiet. And they said it's a sensitive issue. Because this is the beginning of the Rohingya boat people in 2006 and 7. So nobody wants to say anything about it, especially Thai government. People are very scared about their position, like university teachers, scholars. They were, I don't know what about it. I mean, even they asked me, you know, you are a student. You're on a student visa, you shouldn't talk about it, so you will get problem. Anyway, then I found that there is a simple mechanism to send them back. They need only one travel permit. So Bangladesh Embassy have to give them a travel permit that they are Bangladeshi. But the thing is that as they were with this group of Rohingya, whether they are Rohingya or Bangladeshi, we have to prove it. So I have to develop this mechanism. I have to request my friend. I am calling them, come back and forth. I am sending my friend to Manix. Please go visit their homeland in Feridpur. I used to be a part of the group theater team. So we go around the country, do the performance, teach theater. So we have a big network of cultural front. That's the way I send my friends to their villages. And they get connected. Then we need a document. Whenever we got a document, I found the document, I sent it to the embassy, but it should be approved through our foreign ministry. That was terrible. So we were pushing to release the file from the foreign ministry, but government works its own way. They didn't like it. But when I made news on news portal, 29 job seekers end up in detention center, the foreign secretary didn't like it. Fortunately, I was in Bangkok, so he couldn't do anything because the news is already on viral and byline news. I was a professional journalist and not really good journalist, but a little bit well known. But foreign ministry wasn't happy with my work. But what happened at the end of the day, they had to release these 28 people, the second group of this. And you can see more than 70% of them are young, maybe minor. So first mechanism to find a travel permit, it took me 7 months. They didn't issue this travel permit for these 2 persons. And during this time, they were sent back and forth, back and forth. And I got a scholarship from European University to do a diploma. I had to leave. Then when I came back, once during the Eid vacation, I was working for my office. in my office. I got a phone call from Malaysia, and they said that these two guys ended up in immigration detention center. Then I sent them back. It was not really good experience. I mean, I promised these two guys that okay, I will send them back, and it's really easy. Just, I mean, after that Bangladesh mission in Bangkok, they can send back this kind of people if they are proved that they are from Bangladesh. They can send back. They can issue travel permit.
Any mission can issue travel permit. One-way travel permit, even a temporary travel permit can be given.
Can be given.
In a
Problem
special
is that
circumstances.
why embassy gonna give it?
Because and I think that's the whole white elephant in the film. It's the
Right.
Rohingya issue,
Right.
Rohingya issue, which you talk about and not. And I find it actually quite wonderful of you raised the Rohingya issue, because in Bangladesh a lot of scholars and a lot of people just refuse to see them as
Right.
human. Forget Bangladeshi. They are the hotbed of extremism. They are the ones bringing all kinds of drugs into Bangladesh. They are seen as really a nasty group of people, and they're just some of the poorest and most helpless people. So yeah.
And again, I didn't want to. I didn't want to fight with this structural things like states. So I didn't want to fight with Thailand or Bangladesh. So I didn't want to put the issue directly. Although I had a lot of documents, so I had to work hard to develop a story where I can be touch base on this issue, and it was really sensitive issue. One of my colleague from Bangladeshi NGO, it's a shame that she teased me as a Rohingya filmmaker.
But I don't know why it's taboo. I mean, we know what is happening. Who
Well,
are
I
who
don't know,
Rohingyas
I
are?
don't
The
know.
problem is that they look like Bangladeshis. They speak Bengali language of that region. They speak Chittagonian language. They look like you and me. It's only when you talk to them, then you could be fooled yourself. Are they from Cox's Bazar, or are they from Burma side?
Right.
That Akyab,
Akyab,
that region.
Right.
So that is that racially they look alike, but again they don't have a travel permit. Basically, they are born and brought up in the Burma side,
Right.
Myanmar side,
Right. Arakan state.
Arakan state. So this we don't have to do much research to know about it. What intrigues me is that both Myanmar government, the army are just slaughtering them basically. Now, in some isolated incident that I know of, that in the name of self-defense, perhaps they ambushed few Myanmar military troops, killed them, and then they came and massacred. And that time they run away into Bangladesh. So they have the corridor, those smugglers basically, those they barter. From Bangladesh side they bring some food, and from this side they take some stone and all this. So this has been going on. But why Bangladesh government disown them completely? Because it will create a huge refugee situation. That is the only reason. Because if they start taking them, then it will be hundreds and thousands of Rohingyas will be coming into Bangladesh, and Bangladesh government has to provide them and give them a refugee status, and which will be a big burden on, as it is Bangladesh's the Myanmar's own problem. But your film, which I was looking at, that whatever touching base, your theme was basically the human trafficking, which I think one of the gentlemen, drugs, arms, and then human trafficking is $7 to $8 billion of industry. So this, without the technicality of it, as I say that in this kind of documentary, you don't look for technical aspects of it. It's basically the raw data, what you see
Right.
and hear from the person who are victimized and all these things. And that was very good. But the message at the end of the film is what? a human awareness should be there. Was there any sort of awareness or some kind of reaction which came into executive orders or something from the Bangladesh government side? I'm very interested to know because I don't see any Bangladeshi government official here. We know we have a nice full-fledged foreign mission here, and I introduce you, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you meet the
I met Mr. Ambassador and then
and the
Labour
person
Attachment.
that was, did they accept your invitation?
Well, then they noticed, they acknowledged that they got the invitation. That's
Did,
true.
did they promise they will come and see? Now, this
That's a
one,
good question.
you see, these are the things which we have to keep on carry on, you know, like how you will enforce awareness? If somebody wants to turn a blind eye, then you have to turn the head and look at it and see, and these are your people and you are being paid from their hard-earned money, and you should do something about it. Why Devi had to come here, I don't understand. Why I have to come here? Why not the High Commissioner? Why not the Labour Wing Secretary or other secretaries? Well paid off.
No, but they know. This is in the papers every single day in Bangladesh. Everybody speaks about it.
No.
It's not a new thing. There's an amazing film which was made by, I think, Saiful Haqqani
Mm-hmm.
on the other side.
Mhm.
These guys walked through the desert in Africa and tried to cross to Europe. And so there are many Bangladeshi films on
Others,
this
yes.
issue. So it's
It's
not
just
new.
one- yeah, it's one incident.
It's one incident.
Yeah.
So it's been quite last 20 years, right? So.
We are trying, there is a Pravashi Kullan Mantranalaya,
Yeah.
right? What is it in English? Welfare Ministry for the
Migrant
expatriates
workers,
and
yeah.
migrant workers.
Expatriate workers.
So
welfare.
the minister was there last week, and the gentleman Saburva, he asked me to go and meet them in the meeting. So I met the minister, and when I told minister that okay, we have a project, we are running, we are showing the film, so he said okay, please meet me, I will give you some money. And I went and met him this time in Dhaka, and he sent me to the Director General of BMET. So, and then Director General have taken it to note. I don't know what's going on. They might open a file.
Mhm.
So they are inviting maybe IOM or other agencies. So we have been trying for a long time to contact with them. It didn't really work. But what happened in Bangkok when we do the premiere, the Honorable Ambassador of Bangladesh Mission, he was there and he inaugurated the film. So that was a kind of achievement. There was an involvement of Bangladesh Embassy. However it is, they issued the couple of travel permit for the first time, and they are issuing other permit now on and off. And then they came along. It could be a good example to be part of the process. So that's small change, little bit small change.
Is it? I don't know whether it's the right thing to propose or not. If we try and get a public projection license from MDA, and then we keep on showing this wherever, in Tuas and in Triangle Road, and there is wherever there is a Bangladeshi gallery, even the dormitories, those are the potential victims. You know?
Well, I think they got a license.
They-
CLF got a license
Yeah.
from MDA.
Yeah, so if you have a license, it's a portable, I
So
mean,
it
this,
should be through CLF.
huh?
If you could do it,
I
I
see,
mean,
I mean-
CLF would be very happy to do that.
I see. So what we can try and find a venue. I mean, I see. if
At
we-
least we could do it in Bangla schools.
Yeah, I mean, no. See, audience is the not the correct proper audience. The audience should be either those Bangladeshi who are potential victims, so they would know and they tell their perhaps in-laws and brothers and sisters, don't fall prey.
And these two victims, one of them is trying to go to abroad,
Because he can't take the pressure of these debts, I mean those creditors. They're coming
he
and
saw
chasing
that
him every day. Where is my
He's
money?
a small
Give me my
vendor on the
money.
street. They have to give bribe, an amount of money every day to the police. But now police didn't allow, on Saidabad didn't allow to do the
Do the vending, yeah.
vending on the street. They cleaned the street, and she said that, why you take me back, why you, so,
Those two guys don't think what you did was small, no doubt.
I mean, if MDA doesn't have any objection, if we have, then what the least we can do, I mean, I feel that after that, keep on showing to as many people as possible.
that's what our objective is.
Stay
We
small.
need to hire a projector, electricity connection, and then we have
Projector
our
is
own
multimedia
DVD.
projector, right?
Right.
A portable multimedia
Right.
projector is a quite
I
a
mean-
common thing.
And then some volunteer who will take care of the audience. Somebody wouldn't shout or make different
No,
sound. That's
actually, they won't do. It's just a target audience, not too big. I can't say take a big playground.
and we
then-
need a sound system.
But projection, do you need really have to have a screen like that? I don't think so. Just a white wall would be
Any
fine.
white wall would be good, but
Good enough, right?
we need a projector and
Yeah,
sound
projector
system.
is portable projector.
You know, I want to add on to the point that she made here. I think that was a powerful point about statehood, and I think that's where she was trying to get at. Because in some ways, I would argue that it doesn't matter whether you're a Rohingya or a Bangladeshi, what your true, authentic identity is. I think the narrative that comes out in your film is a story of identity and how it ties into the notion of statehood and within the context of the broader politics of globalization.
Right.
Right? So what happens when you're floating? And that is a pertinent question that I think relates to the Rohingya issue. So I like that you point to that, because here is a group that is not going to be owned by any community. So they are not Bangladeshis, they are not Burmese. Who are they? Where do they belong? Right? Here, there. So in that sense, Rumi, I would like you to make a meta commentary on this issue of statehood and how that emerges within this broader backdrop of globalization and politics of globalization.
Thank you very much. That's a good question. I don't know how much I could elaborate it. Thing is that during the time of September to December, this is the harvesting season of the all middleman or broker trafficker. So if I am a middleman from a village, I'm gonna give you're going to hire a boat, right? Yes, you have to pay $5,000 to $6,000, and this boat is almost a wreckage. It's like a matchbox. So you don't know whenever if there is rough wave, it could drown easily. So I am buying a boat, this fishing boat, by $2,000, but I am putting all other resources money, and then one broker will get $100 maximum altogether for supplying a man. We need 90 to 100 men for a boat. This is the season. The point is that all the political leaders, police, and the government agency from each side of the country, they are getting their share.
Big syndicate.
Okay. The other connection is, see, if you're going to exploit my ethnicity or religion, the connection thread is religion is Muslim. Okay. And there are other practical connectivity. They use cell phone. They call their families. So you can see the whole total picture. So whenever they give some 20,000 is less than $400 to get boarded on the boat, but when they get boarded, end up in somewhere, and they are getting pressure to put more money on their journey. Actually, this pressure is going to their family, especially the vulnerable groups, women and children. They have to sell their land, property, or borrow. So it means that these street vendors might have a small, like a 1/4 acres of land. That's his homestead area. But his family is becoming vulnerable. They have to sell it and send the money. Again, when they are sending this money through the broker actually not sending the money overseas. Broker is always broker. So
You keep some and send away.
no. I mean, for these, they don't have really good connection with overseas broker. So whenever they end up in a hostile position, in some kind of position, so they give the money to the local broker, but they don't have any transaction system. They don't have any connections. So they never ever send the money to Burma where they end up. So you can see the story. So this is a connection of state, smuggling agencies, and connection of the actor of the states, and there is no good law for the refugees in Southeast Asia. And you can see how it impact in the globalized, new liberalized world. So final effect goes to those poor family and children and women. This man, who is a singer, you saw he is singing, he got married in the Cox's Bazar area with a girl who lives next to the seashore, and she told him that, see, you don't do this. We know this is really dangerous. So this man, what he did, he beat his wife and left her at midnight, and he didn't tell her. And she was pregnant.
Very sad. But in last 20 years, was there any prosecution? I mean, anybody was arrested?
Actually, that's a good question. My first producer, we wanted to do some lobbying with another organization, Bangladesh Women Lawyers Association. They were happy to proceed their case, but by making this film, I wasn't in a really good situation. So what I did, I made an agreement with SIDA. We personally gave them some amount of money, like $150.
Yes, donation. So
Right. So that's the
Subsistence.
kind of, I don't know. And I had an agreement with the agency, and everybody was arguing, why you need to give them some money? I said, it's a kind of token.
no, but here in this case, I mean, do all this whatever video shooting you had,
Mm.
can it be constituted as an evidence
Yes.
of court of law?
Yes. The police super of Cox's Bazar, he asked me, why don't you give me video? I will persecute this person.
Yeah.
Who's a kind of, it's a kind of, not a big fish. This Jafar is
At
kind
least,
of,
yeah, at least one.
it's like a
Middleman.
middleman, chief of the middleman. So, but we couldn't proceed that also. That's why we are trying to teach some youth leader, volunteer how to use social media and software, all these open source technology to locate all these middlemen.
That Zafar, anyway, seemed to be a jailbird. He just came out
Yeah,
of the
right,
jail.
jailbird.
So for them,
And
going back to jail is no issue.
it was really risky to do shooting
Yeah, so this,
and then get back. We had a women producer with us, so we had to leave the Cox's Bazar district immediately just after the shooting. Anyway,
Jeff, you had a question. Any other audience questions? Let's open it up to the wider audience. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up to try to make the story a bit bigger, as well, the story about globalization. And it seems to me that once upon a time, our state citizenship was a protection for us. Our state would take care of us. But to me, your story in terms of globalization, global migration, seems that, when these folks are in Bangladesh, when they're in their local village, you're from this village or that village, and that's the most important thing about your identity. But when you're in Myanmar, don't speak Bangla language. When you're from Myanmar, you're from Bangladesh. And when you're from Bangladesh, you're from Burma, because you're Rohingya, all right? You're from Burma. And when you're in Thailand, you're nothing because you have nothing, you know. And so your identity changes, and now it's being used as a weapon. When it used to be, it was a protection for you. So these people, they're in the end, they're just the two people that they are. And you know, and like the one guy was saying, look, don't say that don't put this label on them that they're forced or they're not forced or whatever. They're children, some of them, and that's the entryway to helping them. They're people, you know. But these labels are political. They're being thrown around as a means to for people to wash their hands of them. You know, when it used to be there to protect us, and you know, maybe we should forget about the nation state as the most important thing anymore because it's letting us down in many ways, and this is part of that story, seems to me. So that's a comment that I got from that, and the question is, I wonder what you think about that in terms of people's identities, not because of what they choose, but people keep putting identities on them to suit them. Seems to be part of the story.
I don't know how much I could reflect as I was studying human rights and peace studies, and I found that, well, there are lots of mechanisms, but whenever a person crosses the border and he doesn't have any document, he become economic migrant. All the Southeast Asian states, they didn't sign the Migrant Workers Convention, so there is no way. There is some other way in Malaysia. Malaysian government is giving some kind of assistance, like at least they are accepting them, right?
They're not beating them.
Right, they are
Torturing.
not beating them, not like Thailand, anyway. But again, if you're gonna ask the states, Bangladesh government is asking the Asian states, even Middle Eastern states, let's find a solution about this. Okay, is there any mechanism? Yes, there is. ASEAN developed a new human rights mechanism, and there is no mention about it because ASEAN states couldn't interfere to the issue of each other except the economic issues. And the funniest thing is that, okay, I have been trying, I met personally last Secretary General of ASEAN, and then I asked, so that is what they call Bali process. And I mean, if you go to ASEAN, even thing is a lot of clause, reference, documents, meeting, you will get lost.
I mean, human rights watchers, they can't get involved into political issues. So they have to also.
But aren't these political issues though?
No, this is
In a
not
sense.
No. And the Rohingya comes in. You see, as far as Myanmar is concerned, it's their political issue. They are looking forward to a political settlement. At the time being, they feel that military could be a solution. So they are deploying army there, ambushing, killings are going on like in many other parts of the world. So people in power feel that, yes, I can find a military solution. At the end, perhaps, when they see that they're not winning, the war is long drawn, then perhaps they feel that, okay, let's go for a political solution. So that's the, but I feel that when you, me, or whoever else, we find our job, I mean, what role we play. So we play in human rights, okay, how we can be compassionate and send them medication, send them food, give them shelter. These are the things which we feel. But I mean, coming to the context of the movie itself, that how do we prevent this human trafficking?
Yeah.
How do we prevent people from being robbed of their life savings, selling their last bit of properties? So this is where we come from, which is very much prevalent in Bangladesh. This is one case, thousands and millions of cases are happening. You go to Middle East, you'll be hearing similar story. You go to Malaysia, even in Singapore, go to Strangle Road, talk to Devi, talk to Mr. Mohsin. I think they are handling thousands of cases every year. So these are, I just said that it just gives you a shock. Ah, really, it's so bad. I mean, so that's why I said that it's good. I hope that this screening is, I mean, just now, is it in a CD form? Or
We have CD,
CD,
DVD.
or perhaps a 32 gig
Right.
memory card can contain the whole
Right,
thing?
right.
Alright. So that way basically we need a laptop and a portable multimedia projector and wall. We can find a white wall anywhere and just show it to people, as many as people, because that's what I feel. I mean, that's the feeling that I will be walking out with. People should see. Just few enlightened people like us. I mean, we see, and then it becomes sort of our responsibility that what do we do about it? Just enrich our knowledge and that's it. Keep to ourselves. Or what resolution I take? My resolution is that let us try and show it to as many people as possible.
Get the message.
Yeah.
Debbie with it.
It was a very powerful and very depressing movie. And one of the things that, you know, as you say, what do we do about this? It seems very clear that if you hadn't made this movie, those two men would never have gotten back home. Wouldn't you say so? Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, yes.
That
Well,
if you hadn't been able to interfere and at a number of different times and over a period of years, nothing would have happened to have saved these men. They would have
Died.
probably been dead. They would have probably died. And yet, here in the movie, you have, as you say, all those talking heads. So the talking heads are speaking very wisely and they're well-informed people, and none of them did anything. They had organizations that are dedicated to doing something, to meting out human rights and to looking after the interests of various groups of people. And they had lots of very good things to say, but they didn't rush out and do anything. Now, I'm sure they are doing lots of things, but to address the needs of these two people and many, many more like them, they weren't on hand to do something. So it seems like for a lot of issues, what you have to do is just simply circumvent all the governments, the
Exactly.
institutions, no matter how well-intended they are, they're not capable of meeting the needs of this kind of human trafficking. And that's true of Singapore as well. Avoid the government. If there's something that needs to be done, try to do it in an underhanded and sneaky way. So the other thing that I found quite impressive about this movie is very often, I've been to many movies about human trafficking, and usually it's the feel good about feeling bad type movie. It's usually put on by organizations where you're asked to pledge a certain amount of money because someone has gone there and is focusing on a rescued woman or someone who's been rescued from, you know, a terrible situation. And these organizations that deal in trafficking, that seems to be what they do, is collect money in order to show these kinds of films. So in this one, what we're looking for is we want that feel-good factor, and you don't provide it. Thank you.
You're not gonna ask us for money now, are you?
No.
I'm not asking
Very
for
well
money,
now.
but I want to take it down to as much people I can take.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is the resolution that I took myself. Okay, I've seen it. I really, it's depressing. It's really disgusting that this thing happened. And okay,
And then
what's
now-
the best I can do? I mean,
And-
Now the
better-
information is, we didn't mention about the women, but I know that Rohingya women, especially minor girls, have been trafficked over last 2 decades. Now they have information. Now they are on news. In Al Jazeera, everyone. But they didn't mention about the women. Means that
I mean, boatload of women are being
Right.
trafficked out. I see. You see, I mean, somebody like you or
and then
some,
most of them are minor.
yeah.
I mean, there are most of the state in Asia, all around the world, signed the CRC, Convention of Child Rights. So there are mechanisms. All those states are keeping their eyes blind, like, okay, I don't know anything, I don't have any mechanism. Actually, they have mechanism. If you're gonna push them, you can sue them, under the child rights law, big agency, they could play a role.
We have time for one more question.
I just have a comment. I was thinking that we cannot describe this as depressing because, I think there are some people who thought they might not come in because they might be depressed. I think it's more moving and touching. And that's the term that we should use to describe it. I mean, even if we were going to describe it in literature, because I'm not depressed. I'm moved and touched. I do understand. It's just
we
a term,
moved and
yeah,
touched,
you
but
know,
it's
yeah.
it's not
But
depressing in that
matters,
sense.
because actually somebody said I think I missed this one because I might be depressed. So it's like we don't want to do that. But I think moving and touching is the word because that's the feeling.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I had a challenge to find the right music. So normally in documentary we can use some kind of music or sound sources from the spot. I asked one of my colleagues to compose music, and they composed music couple of times with the orchestra. I didn't really like it. Finally, there is a theater group who is performing the play. This is about a group of people who wanted to go to Spain, and they were sunk in Mediterranean Sea. So I found their music, and then you can guess some of the music coming off scene. So finally I can get the music. And this man, one of the victim, is a good singer. So whatever coming from the natural source and ambient sound, we'd like to get it. And I had been in Venice to do a diploma on cinema and human rights, where one of the most ethical concerns that you have to cross-check every information from the both party. So if it is a reporting documentary like Al Jazeera or good filmmaker, it could be like a one-side story, but I couldn't do that. And you couldn't use any kind of like a homemade thing. You want to make it really nice, cute, like a painting. You could do that. We couldn't do that.
But you made one of the victims sing. Did he sing his own voice?
Yes, it's his own.
He's a
Kamal was
singer.
singing. That's his own voice.
Kamal, right. It's his own voice.
So
Nice voice.
good singer.
I'm sorry to have to wrap us up. I think we can continue this conversation. I do want to say thank you to Rumi for sharing your work. Thanks to all of you for coming, and we have a small token of appreciation to give to Rumi. Debbie, would you come forward and give this token to him?
I didn't even imagine that it would be part of this scholarly presentation. But hope we could do more work here in Kerala. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.